time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end.
Back in May, Warren Buffett dropped a bombshell on the 40,000 people attending the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting, announcing that at year end, he will be stepping down as Berkshire CEO. This will end a 60-year run at the helm of the company. And at the time of the announcement, one of the big questions that popped up was, well, what happens to Berkshire once Buffett leaves? So much of Berkshire Hathaway's success is attributable to Warren Buffett himself. People literally call him Berkshire's single greatest asset. So in this video, let's explore what's likely going to happen to both the company and the stock once Buffett is gone. Let's start with the company. What actually happens to Berkshire Hathaway's business when Buffett is no longer around? For those unfamiliar, Berkshire is basically a giant three-part machine. First and foremost, they own many insurance businesses outright. This includes Geico, National Indemnity, and a bunch of others. Then secondly, they wholly own many non-insurance businesses such as BNSF, Berkshire Hathaway Energy, See's Candies, etc. And then the final puzzle piece is Berkshire's stock portfolio, currently worth $260 billion, where they own minority positions in companies like Apple, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, American Express, and so on. So they're the three pillars of Berkshire Hathaway. And the first point to make here is that when it comes to Berkshire's operating businesses, they will be totally fine without Buffett, because those in the know will tell you Buffett hasn't been too involved with these businesses for quite a long time now. He acts more as an overseer than anything. And for many years now, the insurance businesses have been run by Ajit Jain and the non-insurance businesses by Greg Abel. This is all but confirmed in Buffett's 2021 letter to shareholders, where he said, "Berkshire owns a wide variety of extraordinary businesses. Though I don't understand much of the operations of the two companies headed by Greg Abel and Ajit Jain, I do know that I've captured two all-stars that are first-class human beings as well, a quality important in managers and friends." So yes, Buffett is irreplaceable, but the day-to-day business of Berkshire is already in good hands, and Greg is set to take over as CEO at year end. But even with the business in good hands, what happens to Berkshire's stock portfolio once Buffett is no longer there? This is where things get trickier, and it's probably the question keeping Berkshire shareholders up at night. And in the most exceptionally well-planned segue I have ever pulled off here on the channel, if you, like me, are someone that often finds yourself awake during the night, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m, I've got something to show you. A few months ago, I decided I've really got to get on top of my sleep once and for all. And for the past couple of weeks now, I've been using this product from a company called 8 Sleep. This is the Pod 5. It is a smart mattress cover. And what you do is you place the smart mattress cover right on top of your existing mattress, and it automatically regulates your body temperature throughout the night. And the cool thing is, it syncs up with your sleep cycle, so it can cool down to 55 degrees Fahrenheit or warm up to 110 degrees. And that thermoregulation means you and your partner can each have your ideal sleep temperature, which ultimately can give you up to an hour a night extra high quality sleep. Plus, the app connects with sensors in the pod and tracks all your sleep data, so sleep stages, heart rate variability, respiratory rate, all without wearables. So you get all the stats, but no ring and no watch. Because I have interrupted sleep so often, it would make me super sluggish the next morning, but now I find I can wake up and get moving much easier, which is a real big benefit for my productivity. If you'd be interested in trying it out for yourself, you can now head over to 8sleep.com/newmoney and use the code newmoney to get $350 off your very own Pod 5 Ultra. The best part is that you still get 30 days to try it at home and return it if you don't like it. 8 Sleep shipped to many countries worldwide. You can see all the details at 8sleep.com/newmoney. And thanks to 8 Sleep for sponsoring this video. Now back to Berkshire, and as I was saying, it's the stock portfolio where things start to get a bit trickier. In the absence of good opportunities to buy entire businesses at fair prices, Buffett has spent much of the past decade or so focused on managing Berkshire's stock portfolio, those minority stakes in high-quality publicly traded companies. And this is what Buffett is best known for, right? Being the legendary stock picker. It's also the part of his role that's hardest to replace. After all, not many people on earth have compounded money at 20% annually for 60 years. In fact, there's only one. But Buffett does have a plan for this side of Berkshire too, and it's already well underway. Now, you might not know this, but since around 2010, Berkshire has actually had 2 additional portfolio managers helping oversee its massive equity holdings. Not just Buffett. Yes, when you see Berkshire's 13F filings each quarter, you are not just seeing Buffett's picks, you're also seeing the work of Todd Combs and Ted Weschler. Todd joined in 2010 after running a hedge fund called Castle Point Capital, and 2 years later, Ted Weschler came on board after managing his own fund, Peninsula Capital, and famously winning 2 consecutive charity lunches with Buffett, each costing over $2 million. Initially, Buffett gave them $1 to $3 billion each to manage, but over time, their responsibilities and their portfolios have grown substantially. Today, each oversees about $15 billion. In his 2011 letter, Buffett wrote they have excellent business minds that grasp the economic forces likely to determine the future of a wide variety of businesses. So ultimately, it will be Ted and Todd who take the reins of Berkshire's now $260 billion stock portfolio when Buffett is no longer around. That said, it is worth remembering that, at least for the time being, Buffett will actually continue to remain in charge of the portfolio as chairman, even after stepping down as CEO, which he announced earlier this year. So while a clear succession plan exists even for the investing side of Berkshire, it might actually still be a little while before Ted and Todd actually fully take over. So what does all this mean for Berkshire? Well, if you're a shareholder, there's no need to panic. Buffett has been quietly laying out his succession plan for years, even if it wasn't official yet. We have to remember there are over 60 high-quality businesses operating independently under the Berkshire umbrella, each with their own management. Now that's a lot of redundancy. And in each, Buffett has built that culture of long-term thinking and capital discipline. That philosophy is deeply ingrained across the whole company. And even if things say they do get a little bit bumpy in the short term, don't forget, Berkshire is sitting on over $330 billion of cash. This is a company built to be robust, and the fundamentals are still rock solid. Buffett has always said that Berkshire will remain a financial fortress, and that's certainly how he's set it up over the past decade. But while the business is clearly built to last, what about the stock? What happens to Berkshire's share price when Buffett is no longer around? That could be a very different story. I mean, when Buffett announced he'd be stepping down as CEO, the stock dropped 5.5%. And that was just him confirming something that had effectively been happening behind the scenes for years. So imagine the emotional reaction when Buffett does eventually pass away. Hopefully not for a long time. But you can see it's very possible we see a bigger knee-jerk sell-off, not because the business has suddenly changed, but because investors are driven by emotion and Berkshire will have lost its icon. Remember, in the short term, markets are totally driven by emotion, not by logic. Headlines dominate investor sentiment, and we live in a time where narrative can move billions of dollars pretty much instantly. So I don't think it's a stretch to think that when the day comes that Buffett is no longer with us, we will likely see a flood of dramatic headlines. And even though nothing fundamental will have changed at the company, those headlines alone could be enough to spark a wave of selling. Institutional investors may reallocate funds. Retail investors might panic. Some funds may simply be mandated to reduce exposure when a legendary CEO departs. The result? Quite possibly a steep short-term drop in the stock, 5%, 10%, even more, despite no deterioration in the actual underlying business of Berkshire Hathaway. But here's the nuance that many investors might miss. Many experts believe that Berkshire is already undervalued, even with Buffett still alive and in charge. Analysts like Chris Bloomstrand, who studied Berkshire for decades, argued that the company's current valuation does not reflect the full strength of its operating businesses, its investment portfolio, and its cash hoard. If that's true, then any emotional sell-off triggered by Buffett's departure could be short-lived. Let's not forget that Buffett himself has long preached the idea that in the short run, the market is a voting machine, and in the long run, it is a weighing machine. In the aftermath of Buffett's own passing, the votes may be panicked and irrational, but over time, it is inevitable. The market will weigh what actually matters, earnings and cash flows. And on those fronts, Berkshire is built like a tank. The business will continue to generate massive cash flows. Berkshire owns some of the most stable cash-rich businesses in America, from BNSF Railroad to Berkshire Hathaway Energy to Geico. And let's not forget the publicly traded portfolio, which includes giant cash-producing machines like Apple, Coca-Cola, and American Express. The reality is, these businesses don't suddenly stop performing because Buffett is no longer signing the shareholder letter. So long-term, the likely scenario is this. After an emotional dip, the stock stabilizes, and then it just continues to track the company's performance. And interestingly, there's a very notable prior example we can turn to envisage how this might all play out. And it coincidentally happens to be Warren Buffett's largest investment, Apple. When Steve Jobs passed away, there was massive uncertainty about Apple's future. Could Tim Cook carry the torch? Would Apple continue innovating? And sure, the stock wobbled, but then over time, it rallied. Because what mattered wasn't just the figurehead, It was the quality of the business underneath. It's simply about how many iPhones and MacBooks they sell and the cash flow the company generates. And the same will likely be true for Berkshire. The transition may come with headlines and volatility, but ultimately, the underlying machine is so strong, so diversified, so well capitalized that personally, I think the long-term outlook remains pretty rosy. So that brings us to what all this means for investors. Well, for those that understand Berkshire, not as a Buffett cult, but as a portfolio of world-class businesses, any temporary weakness in the stock, if Buffett were to pass away, could potentially end up being a rare opportunity. If the market overreacts, value investors could ironically find themselves in one of the best Buffett-style setups of the decade. Because while the world would be mourning the loss of the Oracle of Omaha, the weighing machine would still be doing its job. And if Berkshire keeps growing earnings, keeps deploying capital wisely, and keeps compounding value, the stock price will follow. It's kind of, I don't know, it's poetic in a way. The master of value investing leaves behind a company that may become one of the best value stocks in the market precisely because he's no longer in it. I mean, unfortunately, yes, the day will come, hopefully not anytime soon. I mean, Buffett's in good health, but it will eventually come. The headlines will hit, the market will react, but if you're a long-term investor, the kind that Buffett has always spoken to, you'll recognize that the real story isn't about emotion. It won't be about Buffett passing. It's about business fundamentals, capital allocation, and time. And on those fronts, Berkshire Hathaway's future still looks very, very bright. And with that said, before I close out the video, I do just want to highlight once again that if you would like to learn the Warren Buffett way from both myself and my investing idol, Phil Town, we are very excited to be bringing the value investing community together September 12th to 14th in Peachtree City, just outside Atlanta, Georgia. This is going to be an awesome event. It'll be 3 full days of activities, and why don't I just let the man himself explain it? Hey guys, I'm here with the man himself. Phil, what can people expect from a live investing workshop with you?
So after 3 days, you're going to be one of the best investors in the world. And I mean that literally. People love this workshop, and it is a live, hands-on with coaches. I'm there live, you're there live.
Yeah.
It's going to be really, really good. And what you're going to learn are the fundamentals of Rule 1 investing, how to know the meaning of the business, the moat, margin of safety, management team. We're going to cover all that day one. And then we're diving into you doing one of the most important things in the world is proving to yourself you can do this. By the end of the workshop, we'll have put together a watch list of the 10 best companies that this whole class puts together.
All right.
It was really cool. And then on the third day, on Sunday, we're going to show you how to start making cash flow, even if what you have is just like $500, $1,000, using options the way Rule 1 does it, which is the way Warren Buffett does it. So we're going to dive into all the way into the deep end of the pool in 3 days.
So we really hope to see you there, guys. It is ticketed, but tickets are free. You can learn more about it in the description and pinned comment of this video, and we hope to see you there. But with that said, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.